Hubert, Redneck Rollins.
That's my boy, dude.
It is Tuesday.
What's Hubert up to, Matt?
Tuesday, in fact.
Get ready for hammers.
I see.
I don't got you live on Insta yet.
Oh, you're going to see me in just a second, Stevie.
I got you.
What's Hubert up to?
Alrighty.
What's you up to these days?
We got my favorite car live on set, along with my favorite helicopter pilot. What's going on, boys?
How's it going, guys? Dominic, say hi. He's part of the feed today.
Hey, guys.
So if you guys have helicopter questions, then hit up Dominic. He can answer all that for you because I clearly don't know what I'm doing at all. We have Steve in the background, who still might be buzzed from a night of partying on Sunday in Glamis.
It's possible.
Yes, it is.
It's possible.
So we should talk loud and try to mess with his hangover.
Let's
we
do
also
it.
have 64-inch Matt. How's it going, Matt? Oh, hey, the mustache is clean.
Yep.
First day mustache gone.
Wife is very happy.
Well, good for you. Happy home life. Today, our feed is going to be about adjusting your shocks as the terrain gets rougher. And the reason that we're going over this is because we just got back from Glamis, and one of the things that we got a lot of, Dom, can you shut that big door for me? The guys are working, so we get a lot of noise. It's just part of the deal. We don't stop anything.
Move those boxes.
What we get a lot of is, and it doesn't even matter what vehicle it is. It could be a sand car, trophy truck, UTV, doesn't matter. But in Glamis, if it rains or if it's a big weekend, the more people that track across it, the bigger the whoops get, the bigger the holes get, the sharper the edges are. And people ask us always, what do they adjust on the car as those things happen and they get bigger? Because they might be bucking all of a sudden, or they might be bottoming out all of a sudden, and they don't know what to do. So we talked to a lot of people about it this weekend, and it's really easy to do once you get an idea for what's actually happening to your car. So we've drawn a few things on the board. Now these wavy lines represent a couple different things. First, this top one, that would be the whoops in Glamis, specifically any sandy area. This also works for the dirt, you guys. I'm talking about Glamis right now because that's where we were, but if you're out in the desert, then this all works the same. So this would be the whoops in Glamis, beginning of the season. These are the whoops in Glamis after a few big trips, maybe a couple of months. These are the whoops in Glamis after it gets cold, the sand gets tacky, and you throw a bunch of people at it. And these are the whoops in San Felipe with a rock right here that ended my race, just so you know. But yeah. You just got that.
I was wondering what that was. I was like, oh,
it's either a turd or a rock.
I don't know what that was. Damn.
That was Mr. Hanky.
It could be Chase if it was a turd.
Hey.
Yeah, I just want to let you know, Justin, we do have somebody on here. I believe his name is Jambler Yo. He said, "You the GOAT." That's greatest of all time.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure if I'm worthy of that, but thank you. Appreciate that.
Sorry.
So we're going to get out the Shocky Mobile and the Tenzer tires, which I think I'm going to probably go over here. So here is typical. You've got your car set up and it works good.
That's a sick ass.
Isn't that? Look at this
That's
mobile.
bad.
You got to name that. Steve.
Nice wrap.
I know, huh? So as your car is happy, you're in it and you've got some suspension work and you can go through the whoops and it's just butter and that car doesn't move. That tire travels through everything, does its thing. There is zero problems. This is your first trip out, right? And you have no issues. Then you come back out after Halloween, after Thanksgiving. You're 2 days in and there's 200,000 people out there and the whoops are big. The car is pretty much going to do the same thing. You're not going to really have too much for issue when the whoops get bigger. But the problem occurs when you get at the end of a weekend after 200,000 people, and these whoops get a nasty lip on the face of them. Usually, you got one side that's good, and you got a nasty side from traffic that's really bad. But in Glamis, everybody goes both directions, so it's a nasty side on both sides. And if you don't touch any adjustments in the car, typically what'll happen is it hits this nasty lip, and it blows through the cycle, and it's bottomed out while the tire is still on the face of the lip. And it bucks the car. That's a compression buck. Tries to come in through it again. It can't accept the whoop because the whoop's too big and too sharp. It's bottomed out against the bump stop and bucks the car off. This is a compression, fully bottomed out buck, and typically what you see in the dunes after major weekends have stacked up the whoops. What is the fix? There's a couple of things that you need to look at because it could be any number of things, but we're just going to go with car was perfect the day before and now it's not perfect 2 days later, probably because the whoops got tall. That would be a compression issue. Up here, I've written down some things not to forget, so I can't go over them with you. First, compression. When the whoops get big and they get nasty, you have to turn that compression up or stiffen the adjustment to compensate for the face of a whoop or any lip that's going to blow that softer setting right through the compression stroke. So turn the compression knob righty-tighty, which would stiffen the system. In most shocks, although a Walker's going to have 24 clicks, in a Fox you're going to have 4 full turns or 24 clicks depending on the shock. You're going to want to turn the high-speed compression if you have an option between high and low speed. You're going to want to turn the high-speed compression stiffer, which is going to slow that compression down when it hits the whoop and keep it from getting to the bump stop where if it is on the bump stop and still in a whoop, it will buck. What do you got, Steve?
Well, I got to Mike Dubs said, looks like my heartbeat after a weekend of drinking. But then Rich Fortin, which I agree with, he said, everyone in Glamis is like Chase. They go both directions.
This is very, very true. Good one. I
Bam!
Like
I like
Nailed it.
I
Chase,
like
first
it.
one.
There's nothing wrong with the teeter-totter.
What do you got, Matt?
Nate Pearson wants to know, does increasing your high-speed compression affect rebound settings?
It does not. So let me just go right back through what those settings are. Okay, high-speed compression is a big hit. That's big whoops, big jump landings, big drop-offs, anything that's going to completely bottom the car out, drag the skid plate, and hurt your back. Okay, that's a high-speed event. That is also high-speed adjustment. So big adjuster for big hits. Low-speed compression is a small knob if it's a Fox, and depending on other shocks, it's other things, but a low speed is going to be slow movements, kind of boaty, body rolly movements, chop and chatter. As you start to turn that stiffer, it will stop that boaty movement and become more stable. If you put too much in it, you can feel the rocks and chop and chatter. Rebound is once you've compressed that car or suspension, the speed at which the tire falls back out. Not very much rebound is fast extension, and a lot of rebound is slow extension. And we'll get into rebound adjustments too. Steve.
There's just people getting at Chase, and it's just funny. It says, Chase looks like the type of dude that drinks White Claws with a straw.
And his finger up.
Yeah,
too,
pinky's
sure.
up.
Yeah,
So everyone knows I tried my first White Claw for the first time 2 weeks ago, and I liked it. Didn't even think about the straw.
Now you're going to.
Now you're going
He's
to.
going to come in with a straw that's like a curly pink one.
Oh, yeah, something you can suck on for sure.
Zad Al-Korim did bring up a great question here, which is right along what we're talking about. And maybe you could kind of remind everyone what's going on, Justin. Hey, man, general settings. What general settings would you use for nasty trail riding, which is what we're talking about?
Well, I mean, it depends on the car and the shock that you have on the car. So if you can be more specific on it, I mean, an X3, I would have different settings in it than I would have on a Turbo S. So narrow that down. We'll get back to you, okay? So back to when things get rougher. Remember, what I'm talking about is your car is perfect when the whoops were normal. It's not bad when the whoops get a little bigger, but all of a sudden it starts to bottom out or buck and kick when the whoops get sharp. That's probably a compression issue. It's not turned up enough, or the compression is too soft. If the compression is too soft, it literally blows through it and bucks the car off the bump stop. Now, the way you fix this is to put more high-speed compression into the car. If it was an X3, you might pull 1 full turn of high speed in it to stop that. If it's a Walker of any kind, you could put maybe 10 clicks in it or 8 clicks more compression in it. You'll find that as you stiffen the car up, these whoops will start to feel better. You'll have less bottoming, and then you'll be able to adjust it according to the weekend and how the weekend progresses with terrain. Now, another issue with rear bucking or bottoming out can be tire pressure. If you run low tire pressures, as this comes up and compresses, it will squish the sidewall down all the way to the wheel and buck off the wheel. Or if this is a big G-out where you're coming down a dune and it bottoms out at the bottom of that G-out, the tire pressures are too low, it'll squish that sidewall all the way down to nothing, bury the wheel into the sand, and you've just gotten rid of all that sidewall's height in ground clearance. So you might have a 9 or 10 inch sidewall, You just blow 10 inches of sidewall away, what do you think is going to happen to the skid plate? It has no ground clearance whatsoever. You drag the skid plate in the bottom of the G out, and you're wondering why your shock settings aren't stopping you from bottoming out. It's because the shock actually never got compressed far enough to get into its bump stage, where it will ramp up compression and stop you from bottoming. So tire pressures are super important as things get stiffer and as you start driving faster in big G out events. We recommend on standard sand tires at least 12 psi. If you run a scat, we want 16 psi. The reason is scats don't have very much sidewall support compared to others, and you need more tire or air pressure to give you that tire resistance so that it actually will cause the shock to function, and the shock will stop you from bottoming out, whereas it used to bottom out with no tire pressure. So back to our list of things. I'm going to get into rebound in a second. Compression. As things get rougher out there, turn the compression up. Tire pressure, make sure you have enough, especially in a sand tire. You're going to want to run more than people think. We don't have flotation issues anymore, people. This is not 1980s and 90s where you got to run 6 pounds in a big sand tire to get the Jeep or a sand car to float. Okay, that's not the case. These things will go anywhere in the dunes with stock tires and 4-wheel drive. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. Run the tire pressures up and get the suspension to work better. Then we're going to talk about putting people in it. And we're going to talk about accessories. But before we do that, let's finish the last adjustment. Do you have anything, Steve?
Yeah, there's a couple questions. Zaid did say he had a 2020 Can-Am XRS, the one that was asking what type of an adjustment should he do.
Okay, so baseline for trails on a stock X3.
Rough trails.
Rough trails.
Yes.
Well, honestly, I would start with the high-speed compression all the way loose, which is all the way lefty-loosey, softer. I would run the low speed compression, 1 turn in, front and rear. I would run the front rebound at about 6 clicks from all the way soft. We always say our adjustments are from a 0 point all the way soft, then up from there. So 6 clicks stiffer from all the way soft on the front rebound, and about 12 clicks in the rear, which would put you right in the middle. That's a good starting point for trails. It's the softest it's going to get for rocks and things like that. If you bottom the car out routinely, then put a turn or at least a half a turn at a time of high-speed compression into it until it stops bottoming. But that would be your starting point.
Just got a couple more. When you start to buck, do you throttle down or let out?
Well, usually lifting completely off the throttle once you're into a buck will make it harder when it lands. But you also don't want to be floored because it's just going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. So you kind of lift, in my opinion, to about a half throttle position to get the thing to slow down a little but not lose control by being completely out of the throttle either. So somewhere in the middle, maybe where you're driving can be tuned as well. If there's a section of whoops that's rough and you know that's bucked you in the past, then pick the smoother line if you have that option. That's a real easy way to make a car ride better, is choose the better spot.
Cool. And then we keep getting questions on this one. What are your thoughts on speed UTV shocks? I know we've talked about it before, but I continue to get that question on here.
Do you remember the last feed when we talked about answering the same question over and over?
Yeah, I keep getting the same ones.
We definitely answer the same questions over and over, and here you go again. I really like the idea of that car and everything that Robbie is doing. It should turn out amazing. It should actually change the industry and force Can-Am and Polaris and the rest to step up their game a little bit. Maybe they've already stepped up their game and they're just waiting for somebody like Robbie to drop a car like that for them to come out and go, bam, here's what we do have.
I think it's about time we get Robbie on one of these live feeds so we could help have a special
I keep bugging
discussion.
him about it, and I think that he's always busy.
We'll work on it, people. We'll work on it. Matt, jump on it.
Yeah, well.
And Matt's always busy too, so I mean.
This is true. So when Robbie calls for you to go on his feed, you might have to be busy.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, Robbie.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know. We'll get you on the feed whenever you have time. So I like the shocks that are on it. Excellent design. It's actually internal bypass, similar to what Fox is using too, and has a lot of adjustment and a lot of bypass ports, which means it usually is going to ride better. So we'll see after we drive it. I can't tell you much more until we actually beat on it. What do you got?
And well,
Matt?
just a side note on that, on the speed. I mean, we're going to do a full review when we have our hands on the car. I mean,
right.
Every question until we have our hands on the car, it's all speculation. So we will do a full review. I know you guys are trying to figure out whether to buy it or not, but until it's out here, I mean, it's going to be the same thing. Like,
I can't tell you
good.
our opinion. I cannot give our opinion on anything until we've abused it. So when we have the car in our hand, we're going to have a full list for you. But until then, everything that they're doing looks amazing. That was your question, right, Steve?
That kind of answers Jake Barner's question. When is your Speed UTV arriving? So as soon as they ship them?
Yes.
It will arrive.
As soon as we get it, you guys will be the first to know.
Actually, I was having a discussion with Todd Romano about our deposit and which car that might be. So we'll see when we actually get one. We'll find out. Yes, Steve.
One final question from 6.2 liter _ monster. I just ordered a spring kit for my Turbo S. Can I powder coat them? Of course you can, but it does void the warranty.
So let me tell you about that. We don't recommend it because we don't trust all powder coaters in the world, and we can't possibly know how good or bad they are when it comes to treating the spring. It needs to be handled delicately when it comes to stripping the silver off. A lot of guys overheat the spring when they strip it, and that is what ruins it, and that's why we void our warranty. We also don't know if it's ours once it's powder coated. Those are the reasons. We powder coat our own all the time, and you can do it as long as your powder coater is good. Matt.
Kenny Roth just wanted to say, and I quote, "You guys rock, and I just ran your shock work in the X3, and goddamn, this thing is unreal."
What up, Kenny?
Damn, that's a good feedback right there. Goddamn.
Goddamn.
Had to be quoted.
Mitch, hey, thanks for joining us.
Hi.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Good. So where do we leave? Rebound. That's right. Back to the subject at hand. So compression is slowing down. That compression adjustments are slowing down or speeding up the act of this compressing in, right? Well, rebound adjustments are slowing down or speeding up the extension process. So going through here, rebound should be timed just to follow the whoops perfectly. As you get into bigger or rougher whoops, that rebound might need to be faster to follow the terrain, but not at the expense of bucking. So let me explain that. Rebound, you can have definitely rebound bucking at all times. If the rebound is too fast, you come into a compression event and it extends before the car leaves the whoop, that would be a rebound buck. Adding more rebound adjustment, slowing that down, that extension down, would stop a rebound buck. How do you know if it's a compression buck or a rebound buck? Without extensive slow motion video, it's hard to know. The best way to know is to add rebound to it and see if it fixes it, because it's an adjustment you can do in 5 minutes. If you add rebound to it and it doesn't fix the buck, then more than likely it's a compression buck. If the whoops got bigger as the weekend progressed, the car worked perfect before, but now it bottoms out and bucks, it is probably compression. That is why we started with a compression, to adjust it as the weekend gets rougher. But rebound, typically you have a rebound problem if you jump the car. I'm gonna jump it. This is jump, 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 land it. It lands, squats, and bounces back up a couple of times. Rebound is too fast. You would add rebound to fix that. As things get rougher, probably not a good idea to start playing with rebound, but you might find that a little bit more will help you as you start driving the car a little faster through rougher stuff. Matt,
I was going to say, what would happen if it was driving the other direction and Chase was behind the wheel?
Oh, actually, you got a good point. So here would be a normal Shocky Mobile, kind of blowing through this stuff, flat and level, and killer. And then you have the Chase Mobile. And with Chase in his 69 El Camino, of course, would absolutely blow through here way too fast, probably hit the brakes,
He does
and end
blow
up
way
doing
too
one
fast.
of these. And then you've got Chase, and we're actually having to run out there and flip him over and bring him back.
But it still says
Chase, what do
69.
you think?
It still says
It's still
69.
69 Mobile, whether you're upside down or not. So you should be happy.
I don't see what you guys have an issue with.
You like that. You're looking forward to it. Now,
I'm just happy I get to drive the car, to be honest. You had
we
me at
stopped
drive.
that years ago. We let you do it once, and that was it. Done. Compression, we covered. Rebound, we covered. Probably not something you're going to change when it gets rougher. Compression, you're going to turn up and stiffer when it gets rougher. Tire PSI, you need to make sure that you have enough to keep it from bottoming out, which in a sand tire is going to be 12 to 16 pounds. If you're in a dirt tire, that's going to be 14 to 28 pounds, depending on if you're racing or what. People and accessories, kind of the same thing. As you add weight to the car, people, passengers, especially in a four-seater, or as you add accessories to the car, it's going to ride lower, it's going to blow through the compression easier, it's going to bottom out quicker, which means it can also buck off a compression buck much easier as the terrain gets rougher. So with more people, bigger terrain is a bigger problem. The same things apply. More compression, and maybe slow down when you have a ton of people in the car versus just you and one person doing your normal speed. Those two things are going to try and counteract the extra weight and the rougher terrain. I know Mitch this weekend in the dunes was helping a ton of people on this because it got so rough. And a lot of times the whoops will have a one-way direction, a smooth side and a nasty side. But like I said, this weekend in the dunes, everyone was going every direction. They were going both ways, a lot like Chase, and at a 45. So it did not matter what direction you were going. Everything was nasty and lipped out, which means more compression, more better.
Nothing wrong with going both ways, people. You just need to make minor adjustments.
Yeah, what kind of adjustments do you make when you go on a date?
I make major adjustments. It does
fill us in.
Mostly my shoes.
Whatever that means, I don't know. Caught you off guard. Steve, you look like you have no questions, so I figured I'd ask you your opinion on all of this.
What we're talking, Chase going both ways?
Yeah, that.
I have no opinion on that. Do you? Love you, buddy. But I do have some questions. Somebody said, are we ever going to Glamis ever again? Never.
Yeah, we're done.
We're kicked out.
If you asked Steve and everybody else that worked this last weekend,
I'm never going again.
If you asked him on Sunday night, he would absolutely tell you, no frickin' way are we going back after 5 days of work. But I think give him about a week or two, he's going to be dying to go back.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there.
Yep. Mitch says he's there. You're there every day.
Christmas, New Year's, yeah.
I'll be there.
Out there, so let us know.
Oh, I'm not sure if you can hear Mitch because he's not mic'd up.
We got him.
You got it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we're back there for New Year's, you guys. Check the front office for dates.
26th.
26th?
We're working the 27th through 30th.
27th through the 30th are our 4 work days. I don't know if we have any spots left. You guys have to call the front office and see if there's anything.
I think we have a few. We do have a few spots left for.
All right, so
I don't know what day, but we do have a few spots left.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys need to hurry up because that stuff books quick right after we get back from previous trips, like today. So, you got another one, Steve?
Yeah. Can shock adjustments change the position of the car after you hit a jump while it's in the air?
Yes. So, if you leave a jump and the car bucks and your nose down on a jump landing.
Every Polaris.
This is assuming that this is not the jump lip, okay? Because jump selection is everything when it comes to making this work. And a lot of people pick a jump lip that's got a nasty one on it for a dirt bike, and it's never going to work in a UTV. You want to pick something that's got a nice gradual ramp and hopefully a gradual landing instead of landing flat. If it's nosing down, that can be two things. One, compression isn't set correctly, so when the car compresses in the jump, it's completely bottomed out, and as it leaves, whatever the shape of the jump is, it's going to determine what it does. So a little bit more compression adjustment would keep it from bottoming out on the ramp, which allows the suspension to soak up things on that jump, and it'll usually fly level. Also, if the rebound is too fast, it compresses on the jump and it starts to rebound out before it leaves the jump. That is the beginning of a buck as well. You can fix this by turning the compression up slightly. You can slow the rebound down, especially on the rear, and it can usually fix that. Also, you want to make sure you leave the ramp at about half throttle or so, lifting after the car's left the ground, but you don't want to leave off the throttle. That's an instant buck. Steve.
I actually have 3 really good questions.
Ooh.
One is, will there be future updates to the IQS system, such as a steering wheel button?
Yes. IQS updates are coming. We have an update that will allow you to separate the front from the rear, and we have also a panic button for the steering wheel coming. We have other things too, but those are the 2 that are coming right away. Right away as in like 1 or 2 months.
So 4 to 5. What is what is the cause for front shock shafts to bend? Too much compression? ?
So front shock shafts bend typically if the compression is completely bottomed out. You have all the adjustment in it. The shock is completely extended, that shaft has the least amount of support when it's completely extended, and you land a massive jump, instead of compressing, it wants to fold that shaft. Usually that's common on 5/8 diameter shaft shocks, which would be a Walker 2-inch front. It's not common on 3/4 inch shafted anything. You pretty much don't bend those at all. But it's too much compression pressure internally inside the shock when it's completely extended and hits the initial hit. That's usually the only time you can ever bend one. That's assuming you didn't fold up arms and do things like that.
Will we be at the, oh yeah, Allie, Frank G's wife said, totally look forward to these live feeds. We look forward to you being on them too.
That's so weird.
I know that was awkward. It sounded weird when it left my mouth. Are we gonna be at the UTV show this weekend in Scottsdale?
No, we're not. The reason we're not going to be at the show is local shows for us. We find that we're talking to the same people and the same customers that come by our shop during the week. So we try to focus most of our show trips to out-of-state and out-of-area events, so we can talk to different people.
Plus, we have lots of dealers locally that will be there.
That's true. We've had a lot of dealers to represent us at this show, so if you need any product, they've got it. You can, they will help you out for sure.
Jay Huffs wanted to give you a creepy there, Steve.
Thanks,
For
Jay.
sure. Creepy.
As well as Jake Barner, love these live feeds. They give my browser's account a break.
Sick.
All right, you guys got anything else? Otherwise, I'm gonna check out. Shock adjustments, I know are not simple. I know they're fairly complicated for most people, but the simplest way I can put what we talked about is as you add people to the car, add compression. As the terrain gets rougher through a trip, through a weekend, or through a season, add compression. A bucking and other things can be rebound, but it's easily fixed by adding some and finding out if it gets better. And obviously, don't load up a car completely with people and expect to go Robbie Gordon fast with a heavier car. It should be adjusted, or you should adjust your speed accordingly. You guys got any other questions before we split?
Yeah, are you done with the IQS for walkers yet, Justin?
I'm done with the question. Hey, here's the deal with IQS for walkers. It requires a completely new shock head and bridge, which Walker is not going to make for us. We have to make. And to do that kit, which would mean that we're taking every single shock apart and doing new heads. It's a lot of labor, a lot of time. Would make it very expensive. So right now, we are developing it, but we are not really sure how that's going to go when it's expensive.
Nicodine Baja here, he was just, admiring everyone's fresh new cuts, but I think he had a question here specifically for you, Steve.
Hold on. Excuse me. Someone is calling.
Oh, dang. Put it on speaker.
What? Are you watching the feed right now? Because your ears must be burning. Yeah, hold on. Hey, Robbie, you're on the live feed right now, and you're on speakerphone, so be careful what you say. We're actually just doing our Tuesday tech feed right now. And
cool. You said that you wanted some of these really nice speed shocks, is what you said.
That's exactly was the question. Somebody asked us our opinion on the shocks, and for the 100th time, we said the same thing. We think they're awesome, but we haven't driven it, and we can't wait to.
What do you think they're going to be like?
Well, I can tell you from some of the video you've sent me that they're badass. It looks like they have some really plush ride qualities and still have rebound control, which is typically not the case on a bypass. Multi-zone rebound is hard to do, and it looks like you did it.
Well, you guys have watched my trophy truck for years, and it's identical, the same thing. It will be a piston like you've never seen before.
Well, I mean, we're excited to get our hands on it. Just let us know as soon as we get one.
For sure. No, we'll do that. On these shocks that you're looking for the double X.
And hey, Robbie, we're on the feed. Let me call you back on those shocks.
Wait, you need them overnighted? You need them next week? What do you need them?
I don't need them overnighted. Ground is good, okay?
All right, 10-4. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Bye.
Tell him to overnight that new car.
There's your answer on the speed stuff. We're just waiting to get one in our hands, and we will tell you everything that we can about it. But it looks amazing from what
When
we've
do we
seen.
to send those blue pills to you? On the live feed, Robbie.
Careful.
Yeah, Jesus.
All right, we're gonna get out of here if you guys are done with your questions. Good? Done? Good.
Yeah, we're good, man.
Dominic, you got anything for us?
No.
Nope. No questions from Dominic. All right, Mr. Personality.
Wait, before we go to Mr. Personality, they had a question for you. Does shock therapy have a grooming standard? I know we all have fresh cuts around here. Who was this? I don't know who this question was going towards.
I was just in Glamis for 5 goddamn days.
If you notice, anybody who went to Glamis and was
I just
working-
gave him a fresh haircut.
Yeah,
What was that? That you gave him a
Fresh haircut. Yeah, I'm the shock therapy groomer. I just don't groom myself.
So a tune or a groom hit Steve up.
Yeah, I got you. But if you guys are looking to buy anything on the website, you can go to shocktherapist.com or call into the shop at 623-217-4959. There's a jack right there.
Watch out. Don't eat it on the way out of this one. Thanks, Chase.